crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir. RoadToRoo.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. When I started the Road to Ruta website, I'd been writing for Le Metropole Cafe, Bill Murphy and the gang over there for about 10 years, going on 10 years before I started the Road to Ruta website, which is in 2010 around there. And then I got onto YouTube a couple years ago. I always thought when I started the website that I'd run out of things to talk about. You know, how often can you talk about market manipulation and the rigging of the market? Since then, I've had plenty to talk about, trust me. Today, I have nothing to talk about. Why? Because the silver market has broken. Broken. You won't see it in the number, but you'll see it in the volume. Yesterday, I wrote it down. I have the exact number. 99.97%. 99.97% of the trades on the COMEX were fraudulent. 99.97% of the trades meant nothing. Meant nothing yesterday on the COMEX. Let me get to that in a second. So the silver price hasn't done anything in the last 24 hours, right? Yesterday, it did a little bit, not much. I want to show you something. This is the volume. I was freaking out yesterday from the day before's volume. Look what happened here on the volume of the COMEX yesterday. 250,000 contracts representing 1,250,000 electronic ounces of silver were bought and sold yesterday. Pure, unadulterated fraud. How do you know? Look at the open interest. The open interest did not move. The open interest went down 385 contracts. 385 divided by the 1.25 billion contracts that were traded in the day is 99.97% of the contracts didn't mean dick. Didn't mean squat diddly. Pure, unadulterated fraud in the CME COMEX contract. Again. I hope everybody understands that the COMEX means nothing. The price of silver means nothing. It is fake. They are going to... Here's the deal. Right now, it's going in, the price is going in the big manipulators, against the big manipulators. The 8 huge shorts are getting destroyed, right? When the COMEX has stress, usually they increase the margin requirement. I think they're down. I think Ted Butler said overall between gold and silver, they're down like $15-16 billion. Is that not stress? They will never increase margin requirements on shorts that are rigging the market. They will always increase margin requirements when Joe and Sue Sixpack get in the market. That's how they rig the markets. When silver in 2011, when silver went from $30 to $50, the CME kept increasing margin requirements to hurt the longs. Hurt the longs. They said, oh no, we have to protect the market. Now the shorts are massively offsides, and they are not. Let me say this very loud. They are not increasing the margin requirements against a handful of short sellers on this market. They are allowing high-frequency traders, they trade back and forth to each other to rig the price. 1.250 billion ounces. It's a fraud. Unadulterated fraud. It's all run behind the scenes by the CME group. the U.S. Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, Donald Trump. Yes, Trump is rigging the market. He has to keep this thing going. I'm more on the side of, yeah, you should do it, but you should tell people that you're doing it. Why? Because behind the scenes, he's taking care of the pedos. That's the only free pass I give him for rigging the markets. Check out Snippy's channel lately. He's documenting all the arrests that are being made on that front, and they are big. You see all these Hollywood folks going off air. Ellen DeGeneres, Tom Hanks hasn't been seen in a long time. All these fake body doubles and CGI people on the news. There are arrests happening left and right. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Kamala Harris' latest interview, I was like, that's not Kamala Harris. What the hell are they doing? That's the only pass I give Trump. Mnuchin, scary dude. I was watching I'll get to it in a second. Let's just get back to silver. I want everybody to understand there is no physical silver exchange on planet Earth. Okay? There is no physical silver exchange on planet Earth that we should look at for price recognition of what fair market value of silver is. I have no doubt the CME and the CFTC are going to continue to rig the silver market such that they tell you the numbers that you're required to listen to. This right here, 1.25 billion ounces traded yesterday, and 99.97% of it was nothing. Did not change the open interest at all. You're like, hey, wow, that's great if 1.2 billion ounces of silver futures changed hands. They didn't. They're trading back and forth to each other to rig the price. It is fraud. I wrote an article and I talked about it yesterday, the 17 requirements for an open and free silver market. One of those requirements was to show who is doing the trading. Make that open information for humanity to see who is dumping 1.25 billion ounces of electronic silver on the market yesterday. And it'll be a handful of 5 or 6 banks trading back and forth to each other. Probably BlackRock is in there too. JP Morgan, HSBC, Citibank. I don't even know if Deutsche Bank's allowed in the club anymore. So, yeah, that's where we stand. 100%. Oh, it's not 100% manipulation. It's 99.97% manipulation. I don't know where this thing's going. I think I've said it a long time. For the silver market to be freely traded, we need to shut down the COMEX. The CRIMEX, as they call it. This is not even a market. 99.97% of the trades meant nothing yesterday. 99.97. Meant nothing. Didn't change open interest at all. Meaning, they're all fake trades. Trading back and forth, trying to rig the price. And they're not getting very far. And then again, who knows if these numbers, the CME group is a joke. They are self-regulating. Can you hear that? They're SRE, a self-regulating entity. The biggest criminal exchange on planet Earth is self-regulating. It's kind of like JP Morgan, 6 traders up on RICO charges, is the custodian of the largest silver ETF in the world. What does that tell you about BlackRock? Who owns that ETF? I know you guys keep hearing me say BlackRock. They're the next person to take the silver manipulation reins. Mark my words. Because you can't see them. They don't have to report. And they work, people tell me, oh, China owns them. Yeah, sure. China, the Fed. Everybody owns everybody. It's a game. It's a con. The financial markets, the monetary system is a con. The only way you can survive this bullshit, get physical silver in your own possession, no stocks, no bonds, no ETFs. Nobody holds your silver but you. This is the reason. This COMEX is going to shut down because everybody can now see it's pure 100% It's not 100% fraud. It's 99.97% fraud. And everybody can see it if they look at the right here. 250,000 contracts yesterday. 1.25 billion ounces. Trade hands and open interest does not change. It's as if nothing happened. Ridiculous. They're still making deliveries. The big delivery month. This is just hysterical. 140,000 contracts still on the September open interest. 140,000 contracts. Hey, all you silver traders, there's not many silver traders. Let me just tell you this right now. The vast majority of people who play on the COMEX are the big banks. There's like 8 to 10 banks that are all this. This is all the big banks. That's all it is. How many people do you know who own COMEX contracts on silver? A tiny amount. A tiny amount. Who owns all this 140,000? All the big banks. Are they taking delivery on themselves? Now they're eating their own, absolutely. Because they're the massive short. They got to get their hands on physical. Anyway, yeah, 140,000 right now, open interest for September, which is the first delivery, I think notification is the end of August. That's not that far away. That's like, let's see, 25 to 30 trading days. 25 trading days. Something like that. So, well, let's do some math. I brought the calculator out. 140,500 divided by 25 trading days. They're going to have to start liquidating 5,620 contracts per day to get this thing washed away. All the deliveries. They're going to have to do something huge by the end of August. And it isn't set up for that. They're already trying. Look, 1.25 billion ounces traded yesterday, and nobody sold anything. Nobody changed their position. Well, they might have changed their position. See, that's the other thing they do. To hide from the CFTC, JP Morgan will give the short position for a day to Citibank, who will give it to a day to HSBC, who will give it for a day to Deutsche Bank, give it for a day to BlackRock. And they all collude. That's how the game's played. But they're having a problem, a huge problem. Open interest has stayed the same. Look at the last 2 days. That's over 2 billion ounces of electronic silver traded hands, but the open interest didn't change. It's like nothing happened. 99.97% of the trades are ridiculous high-frequency trades back and forth to each other. The definition of a circle jerk. Sorry for all you kids out there. Even crazier, the Dow is almost back to its all-time highs, as if the repo problem never happened, as if there was no COVID, as if there was. Everything is rigged. Steve Mnuchin, let's get to Steve Mnuchin, the head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs, is our Treasury Secretary. That was his job, the head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs. Let's get this very clear. That's all the Treasury does, is rig the markets with computers and derivatives. Okay, here's the frightening thing. So I'm watching this movie. I think a few of you have heard me talk about it, Jupiter Rising, which is basically, the bad guys have to tell us in advance what they're doing. This is about the whole soul harvesting adrenochrome off-planet stuff. And I've seen it a couple times. I'm like, damn, I think this is really true. All the spiritual guides are telling me, yeah, this is what they're doing. And then I get to the credits, and I'm like lying there watching it. All of a sudden, produced by Stephen Mnuchin. Are you kidding me? You guys do with that information what you will. Watch Jupiter Ascending or something like that. Jupiter Ascending. Sci-fi can be interesting. It could also be absolutely 100% true. Much like Star Trek in the early days. A lot of people saying, oh my God, that shit goes on. I have night vision goggles. I see that shit up in the sky any night I want. Welcome to the road to Ruta, my friends. It is crazy. Speaking of that, China is now going to Mars. Interesting. As soon as the U.S. and China get into a fight, what does China do? Hey, we're going to Mars. Next thing they'll say, hey, we're gonna put men on the moon. Well, the U.S. can't do that anymore. We used to do it, but we can't. We lost the data, apparently. According to NASA, we lost the data, all the math that was done. There was a great movie made of that, of the black women who calculated how to get to the moon. But they lost all that data. So we can't get to the moon anymore. Let's just not talk about all the computers we have now compared to the 1960s. The lies have to end, my friends. If we want to live in a free country, we need freedom of information. All of them have to end. The secret space program, the market manipulation, the infinity money they're creating behind the scenes, the lies about what our past is, where we came from, the lies about what happened in the Grand Canyon back in right before the Federal Reserve was created. All the lies got to end for us to move forward. Game's over. Game's over. It's time to show your cards. And leave it to the brilliant young generation like Paige Goodyear. My daughter did a new word Wednesday, Bond. There she is doing her James Bond imitation. Bond, James Bond. You got to watch this. For some reason, YouTube is banning the Paige Word Wednesdays. I don't know why. All my other videos get 10, 15,000 views. These get like 1,000, 2,000. They don't want the younger generation to get smart about bonds, about rehypothecation, all that stuff. At Road to Ruta, I made a, what do they call it? A playlist. There's a playlist that I'll put in the description below here of all the Word Wednesdays. It's time to get smart. Do you really know what a bond is? Well, Paige does, and we talk about it. How about the deep state? You know what the deep state is? Do you know what rehypothecation is? Do you know what fractional reserve is? Do you know what blockchain is? She's doing a great job. This is the perfect kind of stuff to give your kids. Say, hey, you know, I know you think I'm crazy talking about all this financial stuff. Why don't you listen to this person who's your generation and explains it in terms that you can get? Where can you find it? Go to roadtoruta.com. Go down to the very top. I put all the Word Wednesdays with Paige. And Chris Marcus' audiobook right here. I think I'm doing a three-way discussion with Chris Marcus and Craig Himke, a.k.a. Turd Ferguson, on Monday with Jean-Claude. Jean-Claude! So go check that out. Anyway, welcome to the Road to Ruta. I do expect the COMEX to shut down between now and September. There will be no deliveries in September. So just be ready for it. Like I said, if you don't have silver in your own possession, you don't own silver. If you don't have silver right now, send my friend Andy Scheckman at Miles Franklin an email. Andy, A-N-D-Y, at milesfranklin.com. Andy at milesfranklin.com. He'll set you up. Say you're from the Road to Ruta, and he'll set you up. Only take delivery of what he has in inventory. Why? Because I think everything's going to freeze up very fast. Very fast. We will find out. This is Bix Weir. Don't forget, you got to join the private road to get all the good stuff on the Road to Ruta. And I'm going to send you a literal lottery ticket. A literal lottery. Say that 5 times fast. Literal lottery ticket. 100 Theta and 100 Theta fuel loaded on a paper wallet. The future of the internet. The future of broadband. And, oh, by the way, they do smart contracts as well. The fastest smart contracts. The safest smart contracts. Could it be goodbye Ethereum? Here comes Theta? I don't know. A little bird told me. This is Bix. I'll talk to you guys later.